How's it going, friends? On today's video, we're talking about how much does it cost to become a real estate agent, specifically in the state of Minnesota, although I suspect there will be similarities across many states. If nothing else, if you're from a different state, maybe it'll help you determine which questions to ask or which fees to search up, how much they cost in your particular state. Let's get into it. How's it going, friends? My name is Jesse Lynch. I run multiple real estate teams around the United States, and on this channel and in general, I'm really interested in working with people who want to do things differently, want to do things on their own terms, and really want to attract the clients that they want to work with based on, who they are and that personality that they put out there. So if that's you, come hang out for a while, subscribe to the channel, click the little bell to get notified so you can see what we're up to. And if you're interested in working with me, go to my website, jesselynch.co. There's a bunch of information on there about how things could work for you and your situation. But let's dive in, let's talk about it. How much does it cost to become a real estate agent? Again, it's gonna differ depending on where you are. So we're talking about Minnesota, and it will differ depending on when you get licensed, when you try to make this all happen, even within the state of Minnesota. But I try to break it down as best as possible, and I'm hoping that this video can be quick and to the point. So the first thing that you're gonna have to pay for are real estate classes, and those can vary pretty dramatically depending on how you go about it. There are online classes. The CE Shop is sort of an online portal that I like. It's kind of national, but mostly I prefer in-person classes. If a person has the ability and the schedule to do in-person, I think you will absorb more information that way. At least I know that I learn much better in that setting rather than just reading on a computer. So that's going to vary from maybe $460, $470 for the most affordable online situation, with also probably a discount, which the CE Shop does quite a bit of that, up to maybe $950 or so for in-person classes. I used Minnesota Realty School for my in-person classes, and I recommend them really quite genuinely. I think they do a really good job with their curriculum, but also in just getting that information across and having good conversations around the curriculum. So once you take your classes, there's a chance that you're going to want to pay for some exam prep courses. I think Minnesota Realty School actually does the exam prep as part of the class for free. Don't quote me on that. And I think the online setups will often make you pay for those exam preps a little bit differently, right? It's a little bit more a la carte on the online portals. And those tests can range from probably like $50, I guess free, $50, $120, something like that. It depends on where you're getting them from. There are also just independent people who don't even have schools, but they do prep courses online. And if you find one of those that you think would be a more helpful tool, then certainly go ahead and just pay attention to how much it costs. Then once you are ready to take your test, which in Minnesota, you can take it basically after you've taken your first week of class. So after week 1, you can take your exam. I think a lot of people would want to take week 1, 2, and 3 before they take their test, but for sure people have done that. You still need to take weeks 2 and 3, but I don't know. You also could potentially do a hybrid situation where you do week 1 in person, take the test, and then if you pass it, do weeks 2 and 3 online. There's a bunch of different ways that you can do all of that, but then when you take the test, there is a cost to take that test. That examination fee is going to cost somewhere around $60, $70, something like that. And I believe that if you fail and take it again, both tests are about that $60 to $70. But I also do believe that you can pass the state and not the national, and then just go back to take the national, or vice versa. But again, don't quote me on that. I just passed both at the first try, so I don't really know how that looks. I think if you do enough training, enough studying up front, I think a lot of people can pass the first time. But if you don't get discouraged. I think there are plenty of people who also do need to take it a second or third time because maybe they weren't expecting to be thinking about the questions the way that they were presented in the test, which is what I think those like study guides and tests actually do a really good job with. Once you pass the test, then you'll have to include that pass test with your application to the state to actually get licensed. And actually you'll approach your broker, whatever broker you end up deciding to work with, you'll ask them to officially get your license. You cannot be a licensed salesperson in real estate without being sort of attached to a broker or without having that license hung with a broker. So pass the test, connect with a broker, they will then apply for your license alongside them, and then your license is hung with that broker. The fee for that initial license is $100, plus there's like a technology surcharge, which I think is $300. And I think that whole $130 package includes like a real estate education, research, and recovery fund, which may be optional, by the way. Sometimes there's little check boxes on the stuff that you're paying in for donations and things like that, which are very often little optional things that they're like, this would be nice of you to contribute, but you don't necessarily have to. And so once you're a licensed real estate agent, there's a difference between being an agent and being a realtor. The biggest thing that makes that differentiation is that a realtor has access to the MLS, or the multiple listing service. And in order to have access to the MLS, you need to be a member of a local MLS board. In Minnesota, there are two big ones. At least in the Twin Cities, there are two big ones. One is MAR, M-A-R, Minneapolis Area Realtors. One is SPAR, S-P-A-A-R, St. Paul Area Association of Realtors. And with Real Broker, they are sort of attached to SPAR. Other brokerages would be attached to MAR. You will sign up for whatever one your broker is attached to. And again, in Minnesota, if it's Real Broker, it'll be SPAR. And this is probably where the biggest differentiation of cost, depending on where you're living or where you're getting licensed, will be. So these numbers are very, very specific to Minnesota. So if you find it's different in your area, I apologize. But the initial cost will depend on where you are and where you're getting licensed, but also when you are getting licensed in a particular area, because you'll have local dues, state dues, and national dues, some of which will prorate throughout the year, right? It's a little bit complex. I'm gonna put something on the screen right now that hopefully helps to get the point across. It's gonna vary pretty dramatically depending on what month of the year that you're signing up. Basically, the most expensive month of the year to sign up is October, but that's also because then you aren't paying again for some of these national items until the next October. The cheapest month to sign up is September, but then you're gonna have to pay national dues pretty much immediately in October. So in October, it's about $950. In September, it's about $400. But then again, remember, it's not necessarily cheaper. It might be even worse to sign up in September, because you're gonna pay just to get in September, and then immediately you're gonna have to pay for some of those national and annual dues right off the bat. And then there's something called Supra. Supra is basically like a smart electronic lockbox setup. You'll become very, very familiar with them as a realtor. There's an app that comes along with them, and they're just these big, huge blue, lock boxes that are sort of connected with Bluetooth, whatever. It doesn't really matter right now. Ultimately, the activation cost for that setup to be sort of onboarded to Supra is $50. And then there's an $11 per month recurring fee indefinitely to be part to use Supra. And it's super important. You basically cannot avoid having Supra Access. A bunch of houses use those lock boxes. So at the end of this, I'll just give you kind of a grand total, a range of what it would cost for all of those things. I think it's also important that you would know that some, recurring fees will exist beyond your initial sign-up fees. There are annual and monthly fees to be a real estate agent. And so basically what that's gonna look like is you have quarterly fees for your MLS. In Minnesota, it's right around $140 per quarter. So there's 4 of those a year. And then there's an annual fee of $650. I honestly wish that they would just charge $100 a month and not do quarterly and annual, but that's not how they do it. They do 4 quarterly and then they do annually. I really don't understand why, but nonetheless, that's how they do it. That's ballpark, $1,200 or so a year, and that's gonna basically happen every single year. Those dues, I'm sure, will go up continuously over time. But $1,200 to be a realtor every year is relatively, small amount of money compared to the opportunity that real estate can provide. Then there's also, again, your Supra. Once you do the activation, it's just that monthly, which is $11 a month or $132 a year. And then depending on what brokerage you join or team, you might have monthly fees, so it might be rent for an office. There might just be like tech fees associated with a broker. Real Broker doesn't have monthly fees or required monthly tech fees, but you can pay for a CRM called Chime. I think it's like $38 per month, and it's a very robust CRM. And then some brokerages will have annual brokerage fees that just no matter what, you have to pay this certain amount every year to sort of renew your membership at a brokerage. Real Broker has them sort of baked into your first 3 transactions. I think it's $750 per year. So I'm gonna kind of end it on this thought, which is the range is pretty dramatic. It depends on what time of year you're starting. It depends on how you go about the classes. Are you going for the absolute cheapest? Are you happen to sort of luck out in that it's in September? Then it could be about $1,200, really $1,138. Whereas the most expensive, if you happen to be signing up in October and you were going in-person classes and all that, it could be $2,100 or so to get licensed in real estate. But I'll be honest, if you get licensed, regardless of what price you pay, to sort of get started, and you really see it for the opportunity that it is, that will be the simplest, cheapest investment, and arguably the best investment you will ever make in your life. I pretty much guarantee it. Okay, talk to you later.